continuing on with our Nintendo theme this week, let's check in with the listeners.
Hey, listeners.
Listeners, remember, you can always reach us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com, just like Peter did, who says, greetings from the Netherlands. The Netherlands.
Mm-hmm. That's hell.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait, no. It's just a country in Europe.
That's the Nether Realms.
Oh, right.
Oh, no, that's Mortal Kombat. No, that's the...
Peter has a thought experiment for us.
Ooh.
He says, I was wondering if you guys would rather see a new iteration of Nintendo console hardware, and he actually wrote this in before Nintendo's announcement this week. Oh. Would you rather see new Nintendo console hardware or all of your favorite Nintendo games in glorious 1080p on Xbox One and PS4? So, you have to choose. You either get a new Nintendo console or you get Nintendo games on PlayStation and Xbox. What do you choose?
This is what I want or what's good for the universe?
No, what you would choose.
Oh, I want a new Nintendo. I want a new Nintendo console, and I want it to be wrapped up in all their weirdness. For all the problems the Wii U has, and for all the limitations that the DS had, I love the fact that Nintendo engineers its own stuff. We forget that Nintendo is a company with a proud engineering tradition. I mean, the Wii U has maybe a quarter of the power of the PS4 or the Xbox One, but Mario Kart 8. For my mind, is the best looking game of the current generation right now.
You know what would make it even better looking?
What's that?
If it ran on the PS4 or Xbox One.
But I think that Nintendo is very proud of their engineering, and they like those kinds of in-house projects, and I like that they're crazy. I really appreciate the fact that Nintendo's kind of bonkers and sees things through this strange lens. It can be frustrating, and sometimes it's unnecessarily frustrating, but they got every right in the world to want to keep making their own stuff and to believe that the relationship between hardware and software should be very tight, and the people who make hardware and software should work in the same buildings and talk about what they want to accomplish together. I think about the stories of Koji Kondo, who wrote the theme for Super Mario Brothers while he was watching the game go through development. Not after. Most game music's written afterward. He watched the game, he went back, he tried to make music that fit what was happening on the screen, that fit the cadence. He wrote alternate versions of it that he felt didn't fit the cadence as well. He's sitting there while this is being done in a ROM state on what amounts to, machine language programming.
But that's not hardware.
No, at that stage when you were developing games and you were doing it in assembly, it was awfully close. I mean, you had a very close relationship to the hardware. Plus, Nintendo would upgrade their hardware through their cartridges while developing the software. Things like that aren't possible anymore. I think it's a valid point. I agree that with SMB, you're a little more separated from it, but not much. These are the same people in the same area working toward the same goal to make it happen.
So Jared would pick hardware. Sam?
So I've talked about this on the show before. In darker times, I would have much rather had Nintendo games on a HD console, especially for when Metroid Other M came out. I was like, why are we getting this terrible Metroid game on Wii? Like, I just felt so bad about it. I was like, Retro should be making a Metroid game on anything. Anything would be better than this. I don't feel that way anymore, though, because as I already mentioned actually earlier in the show, I want Nintendo to make new hardware to make our lives interesting.
Yeah.
And the industry interesting, and to keep everybody on their toes and keep people moving forward. Because if they have another hit like the DS or the Wii, it just turns everybody on their head, and everybody copies them. And I just love that. I love that about our industry, that they're the ones that people want to emulate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of two minds. I think I agree with Jared that I like sort of that Nintendo crazy, or that Nintendo daring, I guess would be a more generous way to put it. When you can really, really marry innovative, progressive, forward-thinking hardware with software that fully takes advantage of that hardware, you get something that you've never seen or experienced before. And Nintendo is really the only company that seems that interested in delivering on that vision. But at the same time, I'm a bigger fan of Nintendo software than their hardware. I just am. I like their games more than their game consoles. And so I feel like if they were turned loose to really focus all their energy and talents on just developing, incredible AAA software experiences, that game design, that Zelda Metroid game design, in my opinion, is kind of unparalleled in the world. And just say, hey, that hardware, maybe that was kind of a distraction. Maybe just focus on software. So I go either way on it.
Yeah. Well, I agree with Sam that crazy Nintendo consoles definitely make the industry more interesting to cover. When it comes to me just playing games and my preferences, the PlayStation 4 is a pretty traditional gaming console, and that's what I'm happy with. I would be super happy if I could sit down my PlayStation 4 and play Super Mario 3D World and Mario Galaxy 2 in 1080p.
Yeah, I mean, we're all here talking about games right now because we love games, and we kind of bow out of the console wars. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
I
what
agree,
matters
for
to me in the end is how great a game is, and whatever's going to bring me that game, I don't really mind that
Yeah,
much.
I mean, really, I'm going to buy every console no matter what. So
Yep,
there being
me too.
2 instead of 3 saves me, gives me more money in
Yeah.
my pocket to buy more games.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only concern is that part of the way they think about their games is from the angle of how they produce them hardware-wise. And I think that if they lost that, I think they'd be fine. They're brilliant game designers.
I have a better example than your Koji Kondo thing.
Oh, yeah, there are many better examples.
No, this is a good one. Is that the Wii U was only designed with the Zelda inventory in mind.
Oh, there we are. That's a good point. Yeah. Not zombie.
And I will say the Wind Waker version of that was great, but I'm sure the next Zelda. I mean, I can't
you're
really.
right, though.
Going back to the original
Best use
DS.
of the
You're
gamepad.
absolutely right. I agree. I haven't seen a better use of it yet. Maybe they'll
Yeah,
come up with something.
I know.
Peter from the Netherlands says, I personally would love to see Nintendo go Disney and make millions of yen and dollars and euros with their software. It would be weird not being able to buy a Nintendo console because of their heritage, but we would all get used to the fact that Sega consoles aren't around anymore.
There is
we all
that.
did get used to that.
Worked out great for them.
Well, now,
Yeah, but we got 20 of them in like 10 years. So.
Yeah.
And Sega's a very different situation. I mean, when Sega burned out, I mean, they were producing the best software they'd ever made at the time the Dreamcast died. They were on the top of their game, but they'd made so many stupid decisions up to that point that their programmers were having to live with.
Yeah.
That when that all fell apart, when they went platform agnostic, the trouble with organization and with teams that they had, the fact they were being acquired by Sammy, all that rolled around to screw things up. I don't think that's going to happen to Nintendo. The
I was just making a
distractions
joke,
that-
Jerry.
yeah. Oh no, but I hear this, or I
Yeah,
see
yeah,
it in the
yeah, for
comments
sure.
a lot. Like, oh no, they're going to be like Sega and they'd fail. No, not necessarily. Sega was a very different
Well,
situation
but
where the business got into
I
the
made that
software.
joke too, and they are going to be like Sega in that they survive.
Yeah, there's that.
You have to survive. If you don't make that decision, even if you're a bad game developer, you have to make a decision to open up and be on other platforms, and that's what they're doing.